First of all, sorry for the late uploading the video. Actually, I was a bit busy in some another works. Many of you was asking about the next video. So here I am with my new video with lots of chemistry. Hey guys, I am Arindam from ChemDots. Today I will discuss about the molecular orbital theory. So let's get started. One of the most important questions confronting the chemist is the problem of describing how atoms are held together in molecules. Such as a description can only be obtained by using quantum mechanical methods. We are in general interested in accounting for the properties of excited states as well as the ground state. A simple and useful method of describing the electronic structures of molecules starts with wave functions, which are localized on individual atoms in the molecules, and there proceeds to combine these functions in various trial combinations. These combinations are called molecular orbitals. So for this purpose, we will first discuss about the molecular orbital theory. We can say MOT. So what MOT suggests? It shows that the atomic orbitals of different atoms which have same or different energy combine to form molecular orbitals. That means for the formation of molecular orbital, there must have two atoms. Now next is the electrons associated with the molecular orbital will come from the molecule itself. And then, now valence bond theory suggests that electrons are shared by simple overlap of atomic orbitals or hybridized atomic orbitals. So MOT contrast to valence bond theory. So molecular orbitals are constructed by combining the atomic orbitals of atoms that make up the molecule. This approach is known as linear combination of atomic orbitals, that is LCAO. So according to LCAO, how atoms are combined to form the molecular orbitals? What are the rules? So let's discuss. So in case of LCAO, the atomic orbitals must be roughly of same energy. So they must be same energy, and that means if you are searching for a friend, you will be able to be a friend of such person who has the almost same energy by any means. In case of atoms, if they have almost same energy, they can come closer to form the bond. Now, if there is no common factors to discuss with your friend, you will be bored, so you cannot be close enough to each other. So the same situation is for the atoms. The atomic orbitals must overlap each other so that they must have some common areas for the effective overlap. Again come to the friendship. So you have the common matters to discuss in between you and your friend. Then you will have some disagreement with each other also. Everyone has this. So if the disagreement is more than the agreement or common factors, then there is some problem. So there will be bonding as well as anti-bonding. So in order to produce bonding and anti-bonding molecular orbitals, either the symmetry of the two atomic orbitals must remain unchanged when rotated about the internuclear line, or both atomic orbitals must change symmetry in identical manner. Now, as per our previous discussion, atomic orbitals are wave functions. Two wave functions can be combined together in the same way as the two waves combine. They can add together constructively, which is in phase overlap, or destructively out of phase overlap. So in case of in phase of overlap, the two wave functions are combined to each other in same phase, which is constructive overlap. Now let's say in the first wave function, and this is the second wave function. Now when they are overlapping in the same phase, that means the peak and the through is matching with each other, then it will be constructive overlap. Then the resulting wave function will be the sum of the two wave functions. I am not going to the much details here. So now in case of out of phase overlap, when two wave functions are combined to each other in opposite phase, there will be a destructive overlap. Then two functions will destruct each other. The resulting molecular orbital has a nodal plane between the two nuclei. This means that if we are to put electrons into the orbital, there would be no electron density in between the two nuclei. When this orbital is occupied, the electrons are mainly to be found anywhere but not in between the two nuclei. That means the two nuclei are more exposed to each other and so repel each other. That's why do not help in bonding, which is known as antibonding molecular orbital, and it is higher in energy. Now coming to the orbital phase, let's say wave function is started from 0, and if I plot the whole sine curve, there will be a point where the resulting curve will go through a point on the horizontal axis, and it is the point to change the phase of that curve, which is known as node. So at the above highest position, it will be at peak, and at lowest position, it will be at through. So the wave function has a phase that varies from plus to minus as the wave goes from peak to through. Now let's draw the molecular orbital diagram for a diatomic molecule, which is H2. So which have the same electronegativity and they have 1s orbitals. Now if they combine each other in phase, there will be a constructive overlap. So this is the position where they are overlapping, and the electron density will be here most high, and they are generating the bonding molecular orbitals. So now if they are unable to combine each other in phase, there will be a out of phase combination. That means they will repel each other and they cannot form the bond. So this is an out of phase combination which will generate a anti-bonding molecular orbital, and one node will be in between the two lobes. So this is the node, and which is generating the anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Now come to the actual orbital diagram of hydrogen. So here are two 1s orbitals. Now they may combine in such a manner that they can form a bond by which they can be energetically stable enough to form a bonding molecular orbitals. And the sigma bonding electron cloud will be in between the two nuclei. Here the two nuclei is there. In between the two nuclei there will be the sigma bonding electrons. Now one thing is that every bonding has its own demerits. There will be some sort of unwillingness. Their out of phase bonding combination will be there. So this state will be highly energetic. So this is antibonding molecular orbital. Now the 1s orbital of hydrogen has only one electron. So for bonding purpose, each electron will be shared to form a covalent bond. So electron will be occupied first at the lowest available energy, and then if there are any electron, then only it will go to the antibonding level. Otherwise, first it will fill the bonding molecular orbital, and after that it will go to the antibonding level. So from this diagram we can conclude that two atomic orbitals combine to two molecular orbitals. That means two atomic orbitals of two atoms will combine to form two molecular orbitals. Now, by LCO, linear combination of atomic orbitals, the bonding orbitals are obtained by adding two atomic orbitals, and antibonding orbitals are obtained by subtracting the two atomic orbitals. That means if one wave function is psi 1 and the another wave function is psi 2, for bonding it will be psi 1 plus psi 2, and for antibonding it will be psi 1 minus psi 2, and so on. So next is, since the two atoms are the same, each atomic orbitals contribute same to the molecular orbitals. Otherwise, because here the electronegativity is same, that is the reason. If electronegativity is different, then there will be energy difference, energy gap will be there. So there will be no equal contribution to the molecular orbital. And then the bonding molecular orbital is lower in energy, because with sharing they are forming these bonding molecular orbitals. So the bonding molecular orbitals are much lower than the atomic orbitals, and the antibonding molecular orbital is higher in energy than the atomic orbitals. So just as the atomic orbitals, each molecular orbital can hold two electrons as long as the electrons are spin paired. And the electron occupancy occurs from lowest energy molecular orbital to higher energy molecular orbital, because first it will occupy, the electron will occupy at the the bonding molecular orbitals, then it will go to the antibonding molecular orbitals. The two electrons between the two nuclei is in the bonding molecular orbital hold the molecule together, and this is the chemical bonding. Now coming to the orbital symmetry. So when orbitals combine in this end-on overlap to give cylindrically symmetrical molecular orbitals, the resulting orbitals are said to possess sigma symmetry, sigma bonding symmetry, and the bonding molecular orbital is called sigma orbital, and the antibonding molecular orbital will be sigma star. So here this is the sigma bonding molecular orbital, and let's say this is one nuclei and this is another one, and in between the two nuclei the sigma bonding orbitals are there. That means the electrons are in between the two nuclei, and this is the bonding axis through which we can rotate it, and this is the symmetrical one. So now this is the antibonding one. In between these two nuclei there will be a node, and this is also a cylindrically symmetrical antibonding orbital. And if I draw a cylinder over here, so Yes, so this will be cylindrically symmetrical, and for the same case antibonding orbital also. Till now we have discussed the bonding molecular orbital using 1s orbitals. Now let's think about little bit complex. So bond formation using 2p atomic orbitals. There are 3 mutually perpendicular p orbitals. Let's say this is px, this is py, and this is pz. Now as the two atoms approaches each other, so there will be one p set and another will be here 2p orbitals. So if they combine in their it can be combined in two different modes, in two different ways. One p orbital can combine with the another one. Let's say this is the px, it will combine with the another px of this second p orbitals. So it will form the end-on overlap and it will give the bonding molecular orbitals. And here if I see here the two parallel axes, two parallel orbitals like py and py of two orbitals, so they can combine to each other by a side-on overlap. Then there will be a pi bonding. So end-on overlap results in a pair of sigma and sigma star molecular orbital, and the side-on overlap will result the pi bonding and the pi star antibonding molecular orbitals. So coming to the formation of sigma bond, it can be formed only by the end-on overlap of the two p orbitals. So the electron density of the sigma bond for two atoms will be in between two nuclei. And you can see here this is symmetrical about this axis. The joining that axis, if we draw a cylinder here, so this will be cylindrically symmetrical. And now if the two orbitals combine to each other out of phase, then there will be repulsion between the two atomic orbitals. Although this is also symmetrical about this axis, this joining axis, they will not contribute to the molecular orbitals. However, the side-on overlap of two p orbitals forms an molecular orbital that is no longer symmetrical about the internuclear axis. If we rotate about this axis, this one, the phase of the orbital changes. That means the orbital is described as having pi symmetry, and the orbital is called the pi orbital. This is pi bonding orbital. So since there are two mutually perpendicular pairs of p orbitals that can combine in this fashion, there are a pair of degenerate mutually perpendicular pi orbitals, pi molecular orbitals, and the pair of degenerate mutually perpendicular pi star antibonding molecular orbitals. So this is how they are combining out of phase, forming the pi star antibonding molecular orbitals. So there are no symmetry about this axis if they rotate, and the phase will be changes. Now let's say there are atoms which has 1s, 2s and 2p, right? Like nitrogen, it has 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. So from the 1s orbital there will be one bonding and one anti-bonding. That means two nitrogen will combine each other. This is one nitrogen atomic orbitals and this is another nitrogen atomic orbitals. So for case of 1s there will be 1s sigma and 1s sigma star, one bonding sigma and one anti-bonding sigma. And for case of 2s also there will be 2s sigma and 2s sigma star, one bonding, one anti-bonding. Now for the case of 2p, as there are 3 p orbitals, so it will form sigma 2, that is 2p sigma, and another as well as 2p sigma star, and another 2 will form 2 pi bonds, 2p pi and 2p pi star. Right. So for case of nitrogen there are 7 plus 7, that means 14 electrons. So in 1s there are 2 and another nitrogen there are also 2. 2s case also same, and for case of 2p 1 1 1, 2p px py and pz. Here also in case of second nitrogen there will be px 1 electron, py 1 electron and pz 1 electron. So for bonding purpose from 1s and second 1s, the bonding 1s sigma there will be 2 and 1s sigma star there will be 2. So for 2s case it will be 2s sigma there will be 2 and 2s sigma star there will be also 2. And now coming to the 2p sigma. So here as the electronegativity of these two atoms are same exactly, so the atomic orbitals will be in same energy, and here 2p sigma will contain 2 electrons and another 2 pi orbitals will combine and forms the pi bonds. Here 2 pi electron 2 pi will be occupied by 4 electrons, and the 2p pi star and 2p sigma star will be remain empty. So we are now at the end of this session. I have attached the questions in the description box. For more new videos, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon.